That book haul shelf has never, ever been that full. Oh my god, I bought so many books. Now before I get into showing you all the amazing books, there are a couple of things I just want to tell you. Firstly is that I have a Facebook page now. I started making it like at the beginning of the year, but I was like freaking out that people would find it, but I'm just like whatever. So it is facebook.com/littlebookowl. If you'd like to go and like that, I'll update you on things, stuff like that. Cool beans. And secondly, I've been asked this a few times if I have a Goodreads. Yes, I do. Again, it's goodreads.com/littlebookowl. I always have links to where you can find me on social media places, in my pants, and if you're not too sure, my name is always Little Book Owl, so you can easily find me if I'm there. Now onto these stacks of books. I ordered the majority of these online, and you have no idea how excited I was when I was getting the books in the mail. It was like 2 weeks of Christmas. It was amazing. I was so giddy and I was like squealing every time I got one. Velveteen by Daniel Marks. I've also just started reading this for the YouTube book club. So it's about this girl named Velveteen, and she was murdered by this guy named Bonesaw, and now she is in purgatory. She's part of this team of scavengers, and basically they go from purgatory to the earth plane kind of thing, and they kind of round up lost souls and stuff like that and bring them back to purgatory. So yes, it sounds really awesome, and I'm a big fan of Daniel Marks here on YouTube. He's got his own channel and he's also part of the YA Rebels, and he's just absolutely hilarious. These next two books are absolutely gorgeous. I can't remember if it was a book haul or a wrap-up or something, but Mallory from the Bibliophile Sisters showed her copy of Snow White by the Brothers Grimm, and it is illustrated by Camille Rose Garcia. As soon as I saw this, I knew I had to have it. It is amazing. The cover is beautiful. It's a wraparound as well, and that's so gorgeous as well. And once I saw this one, I was like, are there any other books illustrated by Camille Rose Garcia? And I found Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. This is the copy that I showed you a bit of a glimpse of in my reading of Alice in Wonderland. But yes, aren't they just beautiful? Oh, I love them. I've actually already reviewed Snow White. It took me like 10 minutes to read because it's a really short fairy tale. But in my review, I was kind of talking about the reading experience as a whole, not just the story. I touch on it a tiny bit, but it's more about looking at the illustrations as well, and just the whole reading experience of this beautiful, beautiful book. And because it is a fairy tale, there are so many like full page or double page illustrations, also some really interesting typography, which was really nice as well. And because Alice in Wonderland is a chapter book, there aren't quite as many illustrations. There's like a full page one before each chapter, the occasional double page illustration in between, but mostly there's a bunch of little illustrations like in the margins and everything. So yes, these two books are probably like my most prized possessions as of now. I think they are just absolutely beautiful. They're so pretty. Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. So Morgan from the Reading Junkie 12, she actually showed this book in one of her latest book hauls, and the synopsis sounded really interesting, so I'm like, oh my god, must have. So there is this guy named Clay, and he works at Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore, and he's working like the graveyard shift. Now there's a few customers that continuously come in, but they never actually buy anything. They're always checking out books because Mr. Penumbra and them have a bit of an agreement, something like that. So Clay's getting a little curious as to what is going on and what these strange books are. Scarlet by A.C. Gaughen. I've wanted this book for so long. Don't know why it took me forever to pick it up, but it's kind of like a little retelling of Robin Hood, and Scarlet is one of Robin Hood's merry men, but she's actually a girl, and only Robin Hood and his no... What? Bleh. Only Robin Hood and his men actually know that she's a girl posing as a boy. The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, and I absolutely love the like hardback jacket for this. It is kind of like shimmery. Oh, So I'm not entirely sure. This girl named Blue, it's got to do with the Raven Boys. That's what I know. I'm kind of confused by the synopsis, but that's okay because it can be a surprise. Seraphina by Rachel Hartman. This one's about dragons. Oh. In this story, dragons are able to take the form of humans. I think that Seraphina's parents, one was a dragon, one was a human, so she's able to like blend in more, and she has like human emotions, whereas dragons, their kind of mentality is completely different. So yes, I've heard so many brilliant things about this one. I could not pick it up. The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell by Colfer. And if you did not know already, he is the actor for Kurt from Glee. So it's about these twins who find out that all these fairy tales are real. I'm not sure if they like fall into this land of stories or something, but yeah, something along those lines. Sounds pretty good. Excited. The Paladin Prophecy by Mark Frost. This is a freaking huge book. It is massive in size and it's really thick as well. So I had seen something about this online and I was like, oh my gosh, sounds really cool, added it on Goodreads. Then after that I kind of forgot what it's about, and then I saw it in store. I'm like, oh, I'll just get it, and the synopsis doesn't really tell you what it's about or hint at really anything, so I can't really remember what this is supposed to be about. So a couple of months ago I stumbled across a book haul on Dorm Room Divas, and House of Leaves by Mark said Danielewski was mentioned, and I was very intrigued by this and just thought that I absolutely had to have it. So I had a look in the online bookstores. Hardbacks were like $30, paperback was $22, and at that point I hadn't been working much and I had not enough money to buy it, so I'm like, oh, fine, later time. End of last month, beginning of this month, I had a bigger paycheck, and obviously since it accommodated all my book buying this month, so yes, I was like, well, now I can afford it, so I ordered it. I'm not entirely sure what it's about, but I've heard that it's quite scary. I can really screw with your mind but it's one of those books that have a really unique kind of formatting and writing style. What I mean by this is there's lots of pages with not too much writing on it, ones with a lot of writing on it, and then other weird pages like this. See, I don't even, brackets and a little star. Music notes, might see what that sounds like on the piano. There's also parts where things are written back to front and upside down and in these weird boxes and everything. See, I don't have a problem reading backwards, but I'm not too sure where it starts and finishes with these box things, so that's gonna be interesting. Plus it's like 650 pages long and it's a massive book, so I need to set aside a fair bit of time when I get around to reading this. But yes, very keen to get to it. That's really floppy as well. I like floppy books. The Lover's Dictionary by David Levithan. This is another one with a kind of unique style of writing and format. Kind of like a love story completely written as definitions. So it's just little definitions. Some of them are really short, some of them are like 2 pages long, but yeah. It's a really cute and small book, so I'm really excited to get to this. I'm always really drawn to the books that are set out really differently, just when a story is told in a different, unique, sometimes even abstract sort of way. It's kind of refreshing and more entertaining, I think. You're kind of experiencing the story in a new way. Now, I have a lot to say about this book and sort of what I think it represents. I'm going to get to reading it soon. I think it'll be a pretty quick read. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a video review and kind of discuss my thoughts there, because if I go into it now, it's going to take a long time. This is already going to be a long video because it's a massive book haul. Beautiful Disaster by Jamie Macguire. This one was just an impulse buy. I was kind of seeking books to buy, so I'm not entirely sure what it's about, but I think it's kind of like good girl meets bad boy. Then their little relationship is either destined for some big disaster or something more beautiful. But earlier on I watched an October wrap-up from Kelly at Bookmark Bells, and she was raving about this, saying how much she loved it, so that was a very lucky buy for me. Even Adam by Michael Grant and Catherine Applegate. I haven't actually read a Michael Grant book yet. I've been meaning to get the Gaughen series, but that hasn't quite happened. Anyway, there's this girl called Evening Spiker, aka Eve, and she's in an accident. When she's in the hospital, she's kind of carted off into her mother's company, where she's, you know, healed up and everything, and then she's given a project by her mother to create the perfect boy. So it's kind of like a flip on the whole Adam and Eve thing, you know, man creating woman, this is girl creating boy. So this looks very interesting. Graceling by Kristin Kashore. Now when I got this in the mail, it was the day after I ordered another bunch of books, and I was like, oh my god, I think I just ordered it again. But it turns out I didn't, thank god, because I didn't remember buying this. I don't know why. But yes, this has been on my wish list for so long. Sounds awesome. Like a fantasy book, and some people have graces. They're kind of like special abilities. So Katza, she has a grace, and she is able to kill a person with her bare hands. So I've heard kind of some mixed things about this one, but I believe that I will really enjoy this. Now for these next two, it was kind of an impulse buy as well. A couple of weeks ago on the collab channel Totally Bookcessed, the theme was older YA books that were really good. Now Lauren, who was Wednesday on Totally Bookcessed, mentioned this duology, and as soon as she like explained the whole premise of it, I went straight onto the book depository and ordered them that instant. Dreamhunter and Dreamquake by Elizabeth Knox. So Dreamhunter is the first book, and in this world there are dream hunters. They are able to kind of cross over to this other world, catch dreams, bring them back, and project them to their audience in the place. Now what happens is something goes wrong and someone brings back a nightmare. Sounds like a really unique story, and I'm so looking forward to this. Bleeding Violet by Reeves. I was on Booktopia, an Australian online bookstore, and I was buying a book there. Then I was like, oh, I'll just have a look at some of the sale ones, and this was there for like $1.25, so I'm like, why wouldn't I buy it? I don't really know what it's about. So there's this girl called Hannah, and she has hallucinations, so she's kind of an outsider, bit of a freak, and she moves away to this town, but then strange things start happening. So, yep, I haven't heard much about this. If you've read it, let me know if you enjoyed it. So in my October TBR, I mentioned that The Iron King was on my list of books to read. So I did read it, and as soon as I finished, I was like, I must have more. So I went and bought The Iron Daughter and The Iron Queen. Now since this is the second and third book in the series, I'm not going to explain the plot because A, I don't want to ruin The Iron King if you haven't read it, and 2, the majority of you have probably already read it, so you probably already know what they're about. The Industry by Rose Foster, and I bought this alongside Beautiful Disaster, and it was just an impulse buy. I had no idea what it was about. Hold on a second. Hello?
Hi, really nice.
So I'm dancing. Yeah. Sorry about that. So this girl named Kira, she's pretty average, she's a bit smarter than most people, but apart from that, just an ordinary girl. Then she stumbles across this unusual puzzle on the internet, and she's able to solve it. Now basically the Industry is coming after her because the puzzle pretty much informed them that she is really good at code breaking. She's taken as a prisoner, and stuff happens. I don't know what stuff since I haven't read it yet, but I'm assuming stuff happens, otherwise that'll be a pretty bad story. But I'm guessing that it's not like that, because most stories aren't like that. Just getting to the start of the story and then stopping, because that's not what happens. Ramble, ramble, ramble. Last but definitely not least, Every Day by David Levithan. I'm sure you've heard about this. This has been getting so much praise recently, but this person named A kind of wakes up in a new person's body every day, and he tries to not meddle with their lives too much and not cause any dramas or get in trouble. But when he wakes up in Justin's body, he meets Justin's girlfriend and starts falling for her. I've only heard good things about it, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this one. So yes, that is my big October book haul. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!